All right, guys, welcome back. Little different video. We are in Wisconsin, in the town of Fence at Lake Hilbert Campground. This is our kind of home base, if you will, as far as campgrounds go. We like to camp out here whenever we can, and the trails heading up or around this area are beautiful, although they are mostly dirt roads. However, the trail going up to Florence from here is pretty decent. It's probably our favorite run. We are camping with Mark and Cindy this weekend. They are the machine behind us that you see. And I did a really bad job, but we have our dogs with us. But I don't think I have any video of them. If I do, it's going to be like I'll stop in for a break or something. We'll see as we get into the edit. I'm already a little bummed. I thought I had the camera set up, the front camera set up to landscape mode and locked, but apparently I didn't, and it recorded pretty much all day in portrait mode. So this is an extreme crop, and you're missing the front of the machine and whatnot, which might make it a little weird. But it is what it is. The rear camera, ironically, did fine. I just recorded our morning drive up there, kind of the ride, so you could kind of see what the Wisconsin trails are like and go from there. So I mentioned the dogs are with us. My wife has a little Yorkese, weighs about, I don't know, 9 pounds. She rides in a little converted motorcycle basket that we mount to the horizontal bar right behind the front passenger seat, and then it kind of hooks into the rear bracket for the rear seat. It's very stable. She actually wears a harness, and then it clips into that basket so she can't get out. Really comfortable. Sorry I didn't film it. If anybody wants to see it, I can. I can do some shots of that. And I'm sure one of these rides this summer we'll get some better pictures of the dogs. Our other dog is a 115-pound black lab, bit of a monster. He has free roam of the back seat, well, less what is the basket, and then we have a small cooler under it. So say 2/3 of the back seat, and he needs it. We just have some closed cell foam, kind of like a raft, if you will, is what I made it out of, like a floating raft that you can lay on. Real dense foam. Cut it into 3 pieces. There's a piece that goes against the back wall of I guess it would be the firewall. It's not really a firewall, but between the back seat and the engine. There is a piece on the bottom and a piece in the front, so there's some foam in there so he doesn't get hurt. And then there's like a hammock that goes in there and covers everything up. And he also wears a harness and is harnessed to a frame point. So he's got to move the room around, but he can't jump into the front seat, which he, believe it or not, thinks he can actually do while you're going fast. He thinks that's hilarious. Wife thinks it's for the fan. We have a fan that kind of cools off the cab, and that gets him super close to it. I think he's a big chicken, but whatever. Anyway, these are kind of the trails going in there. We're in between Fence and Dunbar in this point. There's some little climbs and whatnot. Nothing, epic or anything like that. But this is fun for us. And our friends are with us, and we're in familiar ground and able to kind of cruise and have a good time. We saw very few machines this trip. It was pretty crazy at how few machines that we saw, because normally it's pretty busy in Wisconsin, and it was definitely really slow. But regardless, it was still a really, really fun time, and we enjoyed the ride very much. So today's a pretty typical day up here in Wisconsin. Beautiful, sunny, dry conditions. This year, ironically, it started raining after this trip. I believe it was that evening it started raining, and I think it's rained pretty consistent since then. The trails are very muddy, moisture everywhere. But typically, it's dry up here. So your machine's getting a lot of dust, but there's a lot of mud holes because it had rained recently, if you will. So it's just, you kind of get both. I prefer, the rainfall. That way you're not getting the dust and it's easier to breathe. The mud's a little bit harder to clean off, sure, but you're just always going to get mud on your machine in Wisconsin because there's still a ton of, muddy spots on the trails because the tree cover blocks the sunshine from drying up the mud holes. It's just kind of the way it is. You just prepare for it. It's not a big deal. Very enjoyable ride. Again, I'm just going to show kind of the ride up to Florence and kind of what we do, and not the ride back, because quite honestly, I think it's going to get super boring, and you don't need to watch 30 minutes of that. But this is pretty much consistently the ride up there, and everything worked out wonderful. So this is like the middle of June. Definitely not the norm to see this few machines on the trail. I mean, normally it's pretty busy. This is a Saturday, and normally you see 10 times more machines than you're seeing right now. But we'll take it. It's making it for a really quiet, peaceful ride, not hitting a bunch of traffic, which, even though I'm up front, I got super dusty, but Mark and Cindy got the brunt of it behind us. They were hanging way back because of the dust, and thank God for that. But you get more traffic on the machines, it just riles everything up, that much more. So not having dust was super helpful. We're gonna head, like I said, up to Florence, Wisconsin, and we'll top off with fuel, and then they'll go to a little bar there on Main Street that is absolutely awesome. I believe it's called the Tavern on Main. Mark and Cindy sneak in there for a sandwich, and Linda and I head over to a little pavilion at a tourist area, and just we have a little lunch that we prepare and kind of bring along in coolers because we have the dogs. So that's Jack, my dog's favorite part of the day is lunchtime. His mom makes him all sorts of carrots and apples and just, treats that he doesn't normally get, and he thinks it's wonderful. But, we'll eat, and then Mark and Cindy usually come back and meet us there, and that's it. We head back. So that's pretty much what this video is showing you, and it would be our typical type of Saturday ride up in Wisconsin when we've got the dogs. All right, so we just filled up with fuel, and Linda and I are heading out solo back to the trails, and we're going to head over to our little lunch spot. And like I said earlier, Mark and Cindy are going to grab a sandwich at the Tavern on Main, eat their lunch, and they'll come back over here and meet us here at this little visitor center / DMV little canopy here. This is just kind of our normal spot to stop. This is pretty much the only clips of the dogs I've got of the day. Didn't have the in-cab camera working, so this is what we get. All right, we're just headed back out of town. I don't show the return footage because it's pretty much rinse and repeat of what we had today coming out here. But we do enjoy our trip to Florence. It's an easy ride, but it's a fun ride. Right about now, I'm thinking about getting back, taking a shower, drinking some beers, and having some dinner, which we did most of that. We got back, and we all got cleaned up and had a few beers. But then we started hearing rumblings of the weather coming in, and it was going to rain a lot. So we ended up loading up the machines that night and cleaning up the outside of pretty much everything and loading it in the campers and getting stuff put away, and ended up calling it an early night and just watching a movie in the camper. And it was a good idea because it poured. I think we got 2 or 3 inches of rain between Sunday morning early. I think it started raining hard right after midnight, and it rained through late morning Sunday. But hooked up, got out of there, had another wonderful weekend up at Lake Hilbert Campground there in Fence, and can't highly recommend it enough. I'll also add Mark didn't have any crashes, flips, or rollovers this trip, so that's always a bonus. Just wanted to say thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.